Howdy, Slop here. Today we'll be discussing the Sydney Sweeney Dr. Squash soap bars. Now I know I'm a little bit late, but I thought it might be fun to talk about it, and since I've started this slop channel, what better way to talk about it than in a classic slop video. So if you weren't aware, Dr. Squash and Sydney Sweeney, who have already partnered up before, in an advertisement if I'm not mistaken, have once again joined forces to create a product irresistible to any gooner out there. Sydney Sweeney Bathwater Soap Bars. And no, that is not a joke. From what I've seen online, about 5,000 bars of soap were made, selling at $8 each. And what's even stranger is that they sold out relatively quickly from what I've heard. And apparently the demand for these bars of soap were so high that they have been selling on eBay for as high as $1,600. Now again, I am late to this, so I wasn't able to find any soap bars selling that high, but when I go on eBay and look for these soap bars, they're definitely selling way over $8. Double, triple, multiple times over their original selling price. What a time to be alive, I think. We got soap bar scalpers in the year 2025. I think it's interesting. Interesting and a little bit embarrassing. As you could imagine, the soap clearly has its fans, but not everyone is so happy to see these soap bars out in the wild. I guess you could say a little bit of controversy was stirred up by all this. Now, Sydney Sweeney herself has talked about these soap bars in interviews and things like that. I have a quote here that says, "When your fans start asking for your bathwater, you can either ignore it or turn it into a bar of Dr. Squash soap." Now, I haven't read this full interview, but the way that I interpret this quote here is if people are going to be obsessing over your body and making weird comments and whatnot, the least you could do is make money off of it. Now, of course, my interpretation is only limited to my perspective. And from my perspective, I can only really confidently speak about the men who would buy something like this. Which is to say, if you would buy something like this for any reason other than maybe a joke, I think you're weird. I think you're strange. You're probably a gooner. That's what I think. I mean, think of it this way. If I went over to your house and saw you had the Sydney Sweeney bar of soap on display or hidden somewhere creepy like, I would murder you. Simple as that. Alright, now I am being dramatic, but it's still concerning how popular a product like this was, and it does make me think. It makes me wonder, what good reason could they have for this? I think that there's not really many. Sydney Sweeney does have this quote here on the topic of how people tend to sexualize her. It is an interesting quote that explains some of her perspective on these things, and again, it is quite strange to look around and see people actually wanting to buy this product. Unironically at that. But that's everything I've heard about this topic. Let me know if you have anything to add. Do you know anyone who actually bought these bars of soap? And if so, why did they do it? Thank you for watching. Goodbye.